You know what it is. Let's get after it. Geeks Visions UFC 291 picks and predictions. We're going to run through every single fight on the card, starting from the bottom, working our way to the top. This is a huge one. BMF belt is on the line. Poirier versus Gaethje 2. Let's get into it. First fight in the prelims. Matthew SEMELSBERGER 11-5, coming out against UROS Medic 8-1. First thing I got to rip off here. This is a welterweight matchup. UROS Medic making his debut at welterweight, coming off a huge hand surgery, if I'm not mistaken. Matthew SEMELSBERGER, we've seen him fight some really good welterweights, and he's a seasoned vet. He doesn't get cracked. I mean, this guy's got a really good chin, and that's kind of what you worry about when a guy's fighting UROS Medic, because this guy's got bombs in his hands. Taking everything into consideration, I don't think UROS Medic is going to fill out to that 170 like our boy Matthew SEMELSBERGER will. We know SEMELSBERGER can eat punches at this weight class. We know he can wrestle. I think he's going to have all the tools, everything necessary to get this win against UROS Medic. Going to be interesting to see what he looks like up a division with a new hand. So, Dano, what do you got?
I'm with you. I like SEMELSBERGER in this one, and I like what you're saying about how he can take a punch and he's also good on the ground. I think that will play important here because we have seen Medic be very, very technical on the feet. He is fluid in the striking department. But like you've been saying, he is going up a weight class. SEMELSBERGER does eat punches, but he also has good movement on the feet. And if all else fails, he can be pretty good on the ground. He's like a good wrestler in the sense of like he smothers the guy, gets control time, kills some rounds. I think that will play a big factor, especially later on in the fight. When both these guys are tired, we're going to get some sloppy takedowns from one of the two. And I think the bigger guy, SEMELSBERGER, will end up on top at the end of these rounds. So give me SEMELSBERGER, and decision doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, what do you got, Goose?
I'm seeing a lot of people come in on SEMELSBERGER. That money is changing. Medic is almost plus 200. I think he's definitely going to be the more technical striker on the feet. The grappling game really isn't SEMELSBERGER's game. I know he should have the advantage here, but at altitude, if you're like depending on wrestling, I think the gas tank could wear into SEMELSBERGER here a little bit. I haven't seen the best IQ from him, and he does get hit. So I'm going to take a chance on UROS Medic being able to kind of keep the fight on the feet and be able to pick and pop his shots here.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was high on Medic. I'm kind of excited to see him back in the ring, so that'll be fun. Let's get in this next one. We got a female boot, Miranda Maverick, 11-5, going out against PRISCILA CACHOEIRA, 12-4. I'm going to take the over in this. I'm going to take a whole lot of time on the mats. What do you got, Goose?
I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick here. A pretty consistent theme in PRISCILA CACHOEIRA's fights is if you can out-grapple her, you can beat her. And I think that Miranda Maverick definitely will have the grappling advantage. And I think she'll be looking to kind of push the pace after her last fight, CACHOEIRA, she's going to need a big shot here. And I think that Maverick's going to be glued on her and keeping the takedowns coming here. So I'm going to go Maverick, probably submission.
Interesting. What do you got, Dano?
I'm with you guys. I like Maverick in this spot, but don't forget that she was a minus 400 to, was it Demopoulos or Jasudavicius last time?
Jasmine was her last fight.
She was a minus 400 against Jasmine, and she lost. She is a minus 300 against CACHOEIRA, 300-ish, I believe. So don't just throw your money on Maverick. She has proven to flop, but I think she will get this one done, especially if that grappling gets going. Get that gas tank of CACHOEIRA low, especially if she's got bombs. CACHOEIRA starts throwing wildly, gassed. That will lead to a lot more success with Maverick.
100%. All right, let's move into this next one. We got another welterweight scrap. Jake Matthews, 18-6, coming out against Darius Flowers, 12-5-1. I'm going to take Jake Matthews here. I think this is a clear bout to get Jake Matthews kind of back in the mix. He had a lot of hype. He was riding a couple really good performances until his last fight against SEMELSBERGER kind of got exposed a little bit. So yeah, I mean, you look at Darius Flowers, He's coming off the Contender Series. He kind of had like a slam finish where he just kind of hurt the guy's shoulder. It wasn't like a, like a clean kind of entry into the UFC. He's coming off the regional scene where he's got a couple big knockouts, but not anything too crazy against anybody too crazy. We're talking about like 8-3 regional opponents, 4-1 regional opponents. And then, you scroll a little bit further down and he's losing to guys on the regional scene that are, 5-2 and whatnot. So I'm taking Jake Matthews. I think this is a clear bout for him to come out and make a good name for himself. What do you got, Dano?
I'm with you. I really like Matthews in this spot, and I think what you said is true. This is a clear spot for him to show out. I think he needs this win. We got to remember Matthews has been in the UFC for a while. He burst into the spotlight with that knockout over Fialho, looked amazing, and then he kind of got that hype train halted by SEMELSBERGER. He can't get another loss here. He needs this in a big spot in Salt Lake City. Jake Matthews is going to bounce back. Give me inside the distance.
Let's go. Goosey, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jake Matthews KO. I think round 2, to be honest, but I could definitely see round 1. I think there's gonna be a skill difference. It would be such a Jake Matthews move to get caught here in a fight that he should definitely win because Darius Flowers does have some pop, but I just think that the experience level, the skill gap is gonna be a little too much. Jake Matthews, let's see an improved version this time out. Good game plan. I think he gets it done in 2.
All right, let's go. Moving to the next one. We got a flyweight scrap here. CJ Vergara, 11-4-1, coming out against Vinicius Salvador, 14-5. Vinicius Salvador came off the Contender Series last season. Very high on my radar. I mean, this is a flyweight that's rocking with like 13 KOs and 14 wins or something crazy like that. He's got pop. CJ Vergara, on the other hand, more of a well-rounded guy. He likes to kind of get these fights to the mat. He's got a lot of ground and pound finishes. So tail of the tape is going to be, can CJ Vergara get this fight to the mat? Can he finish it when it gets to the mat? Because if it is standing, Vinicius is going to be live for that KO. And that's crazy to say at flyweight, which is just why this makes for such an exciting bout. Vinicius kind of got suffocated in his last bout, kind of got exposed to being kind of that one-dimensional fighter. But Victor Altamirano is really good. And man. Yeah, and you know what, man? I think this is going to be Vinicius Salvador. I think he's going to find the chin in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if Vergara, puts the game plan on him, but I just don't have the faith in Vergara for 3 rounds in this, and I know how dangerous Salvador is. So let me roll the dice here with Salvador. It's a pay-per-view card. Energy will be high. What do you got, Goose?
I'm gonna go with Vinicius Salvador here. CJ Vergara not getting any takedowns in the UFC. I think he is going to have to wrestle to get this done. We've seen him get clipped by a wild striker last time out, and he was actually running away from him in the octagon. I think when you start getting weird shots from weird angles, that's when you're going to catch Vergara. And I don't think he's going to have the wrestling to fall back on here. Vinicius Salvador, he definitely can hold his own on the feet. He's got good jiu-jitsu. And Vergara, I don't think he's going to be able to push the pace necessary to really gas out Salvador, especially at altitude here. So I think Salvador gets it done by decision.
What do you got, Dano?
I'm glad you guys picked Salvador just because I had a biased pick here with Vergara. I enjoy watching Vergara. He's a really entertaining guy. He's durable, but I'm interested to see how that gas tank holds up in Salt Lake. I'm going to take Vergara inside the distance just because he's one of those guys, like you were saying, CO, he can get the ground and pounds off. He also has pretty good submissions, and he gets those kind of like Hail Mary plays where we saw in his last fight, he was down bad, came back and whooped up on Daniel Lacerda. Kind of out of nowhere. So I feel like if someone's going to miraculously pull someone off or it's going to be an instant stop, we're going to see Vergara get something crazy here.
Yeah, I'm not going to cap. I think I got to go back and watch a little bit more Vergara tape before I kind of lock that pick in, just because it's very, very crucial. We'll move on to the next one. We got an 85er scrap, middleweights, Roman KOPYLOV, 10-2, coming out against Claudio Ribeiro, 11-3. Claudio Ribeiro reminds me a lot of Michel Pereira, which is who we're kind of going to see later on this card. Talk about him a little bit. Just wild guys who have like crazy strikes, a lot of power. I think Roman Kopylov is going to be able to stay composed, really showcase his striking, which is very, very high level. And I think he's going to find a shot straight down the middle and sit down RIBEIRO in this fight. I think Kopylov is live for a KO, and I think that's the only way he finishes this fight. He's a stand-up guy, and stuffing RIBEIRO a few times is going to leave RIBEIRO in a bad spot. So give me Kopylov by like highlight finish. What do you got, Dano?
I think this will be the first fight. I could see a couple fights prior, but I think this will be the first fight where we really see that elevation come into play. Just because RIBEIRO is one of those really muscled up guys who throws very heavy shots. And I could see late first round, early second round where RIBEIRO is looking real gassed. And Kopylov's style, I think, will play really well into, against a gassed opponent where he's just kind of not really a point fighting kickboxer, but he likes to keep his range. He shoots, he gets his shots off from distance. I think that'll play a big part. We will see RIBEIRO slow down. And like you were saying, CEO Kopylov will get a finish in this one.
Let's go. Goose, are you riding?
I'm going to pick Kopylov. I think that because both guys really don't have good cardio, I think that they're just going to absolutely drag to a decision here in Salt Lake City. I don't love picking the striker in a bout that I think is going to be really just drawn out and sluggish, but RIBEIRO does have really bad cardio. Like we've seen him gassed out early second round against Abdulrazak El Hassan, who is known for gassing out. So I think that Kopylov will have the slight cardio advantage, by no means a bunch, but he'll be able to get into the second round and kind of keep distance enough when RIBEIRO's just looking to grab him and kind of get the clinch work. So I'm going to go Kopylov decision.
All right. Let's go. We're moving to the next one. We've got another welterweight scrap. TREVIN Giles, 16-4, coming out against undefeated Gabriel BONFIM, 14-0. We're going to see if he can keep his undefeated record. We just saw his younger brother BONFIM, Ishmael BONFIM, kind of get the work put on him by Benoit Saint Denis. That was interesting to see. Very humbling. This one, I mean, TREVIN Giles, we know what we're getting, man. TREVIN Giles is a good fighter. He's got that technical stand up. He can wrestle a little bit. I mean, he's definitely not a pushover for anybody at welterweight. This is going to be a test for BONFIM for sure. We're going to get to see a lot. I would hate to see BONFIM catch Giles, even though I know that that's in the cards with all these powerful strikes that he throws. But I am going to take Giles in this just because, I know what I'm getting. I haven't seen too much out of BONFIM yet. And I think Giles can kind of stay out of trouble long enough to kind of turn this fight around if it starts going bad for him in the beginning. So I'm going to take Giles here. I'm not confident about it, but I do think it's the safer play. What do you got, Dano?
I'm going to ride with BONFIM here. I like Giles. He is a cool dude. He's got some cool interviews out there, but he's kind of just good everywhere. He's not really great in one aspect. Whereas BONFIM, we saw him last against Munir Lazzez in Brazil, and he smoked Lazzez. Lazzez is no joke. He made quick work of him, got on the ground, and latched up that sub. I think Giles is kind of susceptible anywhere. Like I was saying, he is good everywhere, but he's not great in one specific aspect. So I could see him getting put out on the feet. I could see this going to the ground and him getting choked out or something like that. I think BONFIM is just more dangerous in more areas of this fight. Got to roll with that.
Yeah, super dangerous. What do you got, Goosey?
I'm going to go with BONFIM. I think he gets it done inside. I'm thinking club and sub here. I think he's going to put a little shot on him on the feet. Giles shoots in for a takedown and he grabs up a choke on him, to be honest, because Giles, if he wants this to work, it's going to have to get to the later rounds. He's got a very good jab, but I don't think the jab's going to be enough to keep BONFIM off him early. The heavier BONFIM, the younger BONFIM, is known as kind of the big beast between the two bros. So I think he will have better results than his brother did last time out.
Yeah, I mean, this guy BONFIM, His record is 14-0. He's got 11 finishes, 7 of those coming in the first round. So whatever's gonna happen, probably gonna happen pretty quick. Let's move into this next one. We've got Derrick Lewis, 26-11. D. Lou, the Beast Boy, coming out against Marcos Rogerio de Lima, 21-8-1. A guy that's riding a lot of momentum right now. I'm gonna take Marcos Rogerio de Lima in this matchup, just because he's gonna be the more energized guy with more tools. I mean, it comes down to it. Can you wrestle? Can you wrestle Derrick Lewis? Can you get him to the mat? Can you pull off subs? Can you gas him out? And the answer in this situation is yes. I think that Marcos is going to check off all the boxes here. He's going to be able to push the pace. He's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place, which is massive. I mean, as long as you're not standing in the middle trading haymakers with Derrick Lewis, you're probably winning the fight. So that's what I'm going to bank on. Anybody taking Derrick Lewis, I mean, we've all seen it. There's no stupid bet on Derrick Lewis, right? Just make sure it's by knockout. But I'm taking Marcos. What do you got, Goose?
I would love for Derrick Lewis to hit a big overhand, but I think putting him at altitude is absolutely a crazy move because he doesn't have a good gas tank anyways. You know, end of the first round, he's huffing and puffing. It's going to be brutal. In Salt Lake City, I think Marcos Rogerio de Lima, to be honest, probably gets like a second round TKO or something when Derrick Lewis doesn't want to be in there anymore. But yeah, man, it's kind of sad. It feels like D. Lou's showing up for a check at this point. I hope I'm wrong, but I think de Lima gets the KO here.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Derrick Lewis, there's no easy steps down at this weight class. They kind of just keep bringing him up. What do you got, Dano?
I am riding with you guys. Same thing as Goose was saying. I would love Derrick Lewis to show up big here, but I think this will be a fight for the first 2 minutes of this, and then ultimately one of them will gas out. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Derrick Lewis, and we don't really see much from Derrick Lewis in the sense of we don't see a jab, hook, uppercut. We don't see stuff like that. We just see a jab, overhand, to the point where it's kind of predictable. His opponents see that, they know it's coming. And I was kind of, early on thinking maybe Derrick Lewis is going to get this one done. Marcos Rogerio is not, the top tier heavyweight. But then I saw his last fight, and then I think he fought Waldo Acosta Cortez. And he was just spamming hard leg kicks, which I think will be terrible for a gassed Derrick Lewis. That will lead into what Goose was saying, where Derrick Lewis just does not want to be in there anymore, ultimately kind of giving up. So I think this will be a sad display of big old heavyweights getting in there. But I think Marcos will come out on top.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the next one here. We're into the main card. This is the main card opener. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, 17-6-1, coming out against Michel Pereira, 28-11. I am taking Stephen Thompson in this matchup. I've slept on him. We saw it live. I picked Kevin Holland. We went to Orlando, and he just made me feel like an idiot. All right. This guy's stand-up is elusive. This guy's stand-up is tricky as hell. And he is a vet. He knows how to win fights. Michel Pereira, I mean, yeah, flashy. Like, this is going to be awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that when crunch time comes to crunch time and shots need to be landed, I think that they're going to be landed by Stephen Thompson. When these close rounds are really coming down to it, I think that Stephen Thompson's going to be the one with the more gas to edge him out. And that's kind of where I'm at, man. I think he's just going to put on that vet masterpiece here. I think Michel Pereira throws too much flashy shit. It's not going to work on Stephen Wonderboy. So give me Wonderboy Thompson at 40 years old to kind of make his way into this decision win here against Michel Pereira, who does have 11 losses on his record. So what do you got, Dano?
I'm with you. I want Wonderboy to win. I'm going to pick Wonderboy to win. I think, like you said, the vetness will come out in this fight, especially if we are going to go to decision, especially if we are at higher altitudes where both guys aren't going to be tip-top in that second round, in that third round, especially late third round, when we know Wonderboy, like we saw in that Kevin Holland fight, he was turning it up there at the end. I think he will be able to keep distance. I'm really worried that Michel Pereira is going to spam takedowns. We do know that Wonderboy, not the best on the ground. It's not where he wants to be. He wants to be up on the feet. Pereira's a big dude. I could see him holding down Wonderboy just out of pure strength, and smothering him there, but I don't think that'll happen. Wonderboy, he's been in the game long enough to where he can get up, and if he stuffs 2-3 takedowns, 4 max, I think he's gonna win this fight. Lock it in, Wonderboy.
Yeah, and I don't think Michel Pereira is exactly the most game plan oriented fighter. So, what do you got, QC?
Unfortunately, I'm going with Michel Pereira here. I just think about his striking style. It's something that he can catch Wonderboy with. You look at Stephen Thompson, he's been knocked out once. It was by a Superman punch off the cage from Anthony Pettis. You look back at Michel Pereira fights, he loves those lunging in shots, those big creative movements. And then just another thing, I think this fight being at altitude really kind of screws Wonderboy because his style is so stay on the outside, work inside, like leaping around. I think once that altitude starts zapping him, it's going to be hard for him to keep Pereira, the bigger guy, off of him here. And I think eventually Pereira's kind of just going to be able to be walking him down, clinching him up, hitting him with bows. And that's where I see the downfall for Wonderboy being. But I hope he can keep the cardio for 3 rounds. My pick's going to be Michel Pereira, though.
Fair enough. I do think that the altitude is like something to take into consideration for a lot of guys, but I mean, Stephen Wonderboy was just going 5 rounds. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to really affect him as much as, but whatever. We're moving to the next one. This is like the card of the welterweights here. We got another welterweight scrap. Michael Chiesa, 16-6, another vet coming out against Kevin Holland, who we were just talking about, 24-9. I'm taking Kevin Holland here. I think Kevin Holland's got the jiu-jitsu to kind of neutralize these takedowns that we all know are coming. We know that Chiesa's unorthodox on the feet. It's kind of like a front that he puts on to get to your legs. But, Holland is just, he's wicked right now. He needs a win. He knows exactly what to prepare for. And I don't think Chiesa's at that point in his career where he's going to be able to hold down Holland for 3 rounds. So let this fight get squeaky, let it get a little bit dirty. And I think that Kevin Holland's going to be able to kind of get a finish here. I know that's crazy to say, but I do think Kevin Holland is live for a sub. I think we called the Luque sub against Chiesa the first time they fought. So I'm kind of riding the same thing. I think it's going to get messy. Chiesa's going to put his head in a bad spot. His neck's going to get exposed. And Kevin Holland maybe hits a ghillie further. What do you got, Dano?
I'm all over Kevin Holland in this one. I think Chiesa doesn't have the best takedowns. Kevin Holland's got pretty good takedown defense. I mean, you look at his past couple guys, he's just been fighting all wrestlers except Wonderboy. Ponzinibbio is not really a wrestler, but he's a big old dude that can get him to the ground. He will be ready for the takedowns, especially against Chiesa. Like I said, Chiesa doesn't have the best takedowns, and when he gets him down there, it's not like he's going to be ground and pounding Kevin Holland to death. Kevin Holland will be able to hold himself or keep himself alive down there. Like you were saying, he does have good jiu-jitsu. I think, like you were saying again, Chiesa is doing the commentating stuff. He is doing the broadcasting stuff. He's kind of in that weird stage of his career where he's looking into his next career, looking into his next job. He's not fully into the UFC fighting, I believe. We've seen it with Anthony Smith, where he's doing the same thing as Chiesa, and he's been getting smoked his last couple fights, unfortunately. I think that will be the same here. Kevin Holland's no joke. He's got hands on the feet. If you get stuck on the feet with him, especially if you're Chiesa's level of striking, it's going to be a bad night for you.
Yep, not to mention Kevin Holland's been asking for this matchup for a long time. What do you got, Goose?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland. I'm a little bit nervous. He's been kind of sparking up a bunch of blunts on his Instagram, I see. So that cardio, like we're talking about, might be tough. There's definitely a path for Chiesa to win, but he kind of needs to have a perfect game plan here because on the feet, he's really going to be a sit and duck. And when he shoots takedowns, sometimes he does leave that neck in weird spots. I think the danger factor, definitely you're going with Kevin Holland here. And just for the welterweight division as a whole, I think Kevin Holland winning and elevating here is much bigger than CHIESA. So I hope Colin wins, and I think he's going to win via Darce submission.
Yes, another thing to take into consideration too is that all the fights that we've seen Kevin Holland get held down were at 85. So he's at 70 now. He's a big guy. He's not easy to hold down. So we'll leave it at that. We swept it. We're moving to the next one. We got the legend Tony Ferguson, El Cucuy, 25-8, coming out against Bobby Green, the King Green, 29-14-1 at lightweight. So Tony returning back to where he belongs. I'm taking Tony. All right. I'm taking Tony. I think he's got so many weapons that he's going to be able to utilize here. You think about Bobby Green. He's one of those guys I feel like that just kind of caught the hype. You know, he didn't really beat anybody crazy. You know, you go back and look through it. He didn't really have any like stellar performances. It was more of his mic play. It was more of his antics in the octagon that kind of got him this hype. Tony Ferguson, you're not going to be able to stand heavy on your lead foot and outbox Tony Ferguson. He's going to be throwing unorthodox bows. He's going to be chopping the legs. He's got Imanari rolls. He's going to be mixing this fight up. It's going to turn into an absolute scrap. The only thing that worries me is, are we going to get the real Tony Ferguson? I know he looked kind of like a bum in his last fight, but let's take into consideration it was a weight class up. It was a completely different kind of matchup, and you know, everything was kind of weird. But I think that, you know, he's had a full camp. He's coming back to 55. This is a very easy fight to game plan for. You know what Bobby's coming in here to do. He's coming to box you. No secret. I think Tony Ferguson's going to have enough tools, enough weapons, enough game planning to chip away at Bobby Green. I think he wins a decision here. What do you got, Dano?
I like what you're saying, but what you're saying to me sounds like the Tony Ferguson of old. And I think that's not what we have anymore. I feel, you know, there is a video out there somewhere of Tony doing his slides when he's getting introduced, and he's sliding around, and then his next fight, he's kind of sliding. And then we get to that Nate Diaz fight, and he's just like not Tony Ferguson. And I feel like he is a total shell of himself. UFC, MMA, this sport is not kind to the old guys. When it's not your time anymore, it is not your time anymore. I don't think we're going to get the love from Tony this week. I think Bobby is going to style on him. It worries me because Bobby got slept in his last fight, or 2 fights ago against Dober. He got headbutted by Jared Gordon in his last fight. So his chin has been getting touched up a little bit, but Tony just has all those miles on him. And I don't have any faith in Tony Ferguson. I got to ride with Bobby Green by finish, unfortunately.
All right, Goosey, what do you got?
Bobby Green TKO, probably round 2. Bobby Green, he fought early in his career in Utah. He's going to be used to that. And then I'm going to stay away from the Tony Ferguson headlines, but he hasn't seemed super locked in this camp from a few incidents. Either way, I don't think we're getting old Tony back here. I hope it's not a performance that you just feel bad after, because he's been putting some together like that recently. But I think that Bobby Green gets the second round TKO.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, moving into the co-main event here. We've got Jan Blachowicz, 29-9-1, coming out against Alex Pereira, 7-2. Crazy to say. 205, obviously, the bump up. I'm taking Alex Pereira here. I know that this is a super sketchy fight. I mean, stylistically, you look at it, Jan's the one who beat Izzy. He's taking him down. Izzy's out here taking down Poatan. So, I mean, scary as hell for sure. But the thing is, Poatan's so massive. And I just don't see a world where Jan's going to be able to neutralize him for a full 25 minutes. And I do think that every second on the feet is scary hours. Man, this is one of those fights where I really just kind of want Pereira to win. I see so many ways that Jan wins, but I do think Pereira is going to find a knockout in this. So I'm just going to leave it at that. What do you got, Dano?
For some reason, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm excited for this one, and I'm gonna pick Jan Blachowicz. I feel like Pereira coming off that KO, which was devastating. It was one of those KOs where he was out cold. He really didn't remember much at all. And that was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I don't know how that's going to be on his chin. And for someone who's so stoic and so stone-like, he doesn't take punches well, I feel like. And someone like the Polish power coming in off of short notice, not short notice, but, short layoff for that KO, it really worries me. Especially at elevation when your defenses are down a little bit from the fatigue. Then you got this big old Polish dude coming in who Pereira was fighting 200-pound Izzy, 205-pound Izzy. I feel like he's going to be fighting 230, 233-pound Blachowicz in there. And then you got to remember the leg kicks from Blachowicz. He's got those legs that are like tree trunks to where he does check kicks well. And when he was kicking Ankalaev's leg, he was doing massive damage in that fight. And for someone who has been fighting middleweights for the past couple of fights, I feel like that just jump up, especially against a thick dude like Blachowicz, will be a big impact on Pereira's body. So give me Blachowicz and give me inside the distance as well.
Goosey.
We go with Pereira. I think that Blachowicz just gets hit by left hooks, and if you get hit by one with Poatan here, it's going to be an early night for you. Honestly, the path of victory I'm most worried about for Jan is he could absolutely sleep Pereira, but I think going at 205, he not the longest layoff after a knockout, and he was out for a while. We were there. He was probably down for about a minute. I think part of those punches though is the weight cut, why he doesn't take them that well. Cutting 20 less pounds in this one. He's around 230. I think he fills out for this division. Blachowicz doesn't use wrestling like that, and I don't think he would be able to keep that pace in Salt Lake City. You put them both on the feet. I mean, it's kind of a coin toss, but I think that left hook from Pereira lands. So I'm going to go with knockout Alex Pereira.
Yeah, super nervous about that fight. Going to be a good one. Let's move into this main event here. We got Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje 2 for the BML strap. I'm taking Justin Gaethje. I mean, I know how it went, but the thing is, I just keep looking at all these videos. They asked Dustin, who's kicking you the hard? Like, what are the hardest leg kicks you have ever had? He says Gaethje. You look at what Gaethje's doing right now. He's on this tear where he's beating these crazy guys coming up, like Fiziev. That was a crazy matchup. Everyone's like, oh, shit. They counted him out. Here comes the next guy. This is the end of Gaethje. He comes out. He masterclasses him. I mean, he's on a different mission right now. He's actually here for the gold strap. He's actually here to not lose or he's going to retire type thing. I think Poirier has kind of just been floating on this really luxurious cloud these last couple of months. I feel like it's just really hard for him to find that dog in him that he's going to need to beat a guy like Gaethje in this fight. This is going to turn into an absolute scrap and a half. And I don't think that Poirier's got that Chandler fire he had. I mean, he had a chip on his shoulder in that. I don't see the chip on Dustin's shoulder in this fight. I think it's on Gaethje's shoulder. And I think he's just the more put together guy right now. He's fighting better. He's fighting at a higher level. That's where I'm at. I'm taking Gaethje. I think he's going to win a decision in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets wobbled a couple times, but I think that, he's going to stick through it. Keep those leg kicks chopping. We'll see a hurt Dustin at some point. A lot of volume. Super scared, obviously. Dustin's boxing is insane, but I'm taking Gaethje's leg kicks to do a toll on Poirier in this fight. What do you got, Dano?
I'm going to make this one tough on Goose. I'm going to ride with Poirier in this one. I feel like you were saying, his striking is just so clean, and I'm really worried about the gas tank just because we're in Salt Lake City. I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think it's going to play a big factor. We saw it on the last Salt Lake City card. People were gassed. I think what's going to play a big factor in this one is where these guys train. Poirier trains down here in Florida. Not too much elevation to worry about, but we got Gaethje up in Colorado training at elevation, which makes me think that once these guys' gas tanks go down, Poirier is going to keep going and Gaethje's going to plateau. He's going to keep going at what he's used to, what's normal for him. And this is a very dangerous fight for both these guys. I think it's going to be one where you can kind of flip a coin. I'm going to ride with Poirier just because I love his striking. Love him in dog fights. I like his head movement. He pops out. He's throwing hooks. He's throwing uppercuts. And it's tough for me not to pick Poirier, I guess you could say. I don't see Gaethje. I can't see Gaethje not winning, if that makes sense. Or I could totally see Gaethje winning, but I just Poirier, to me, he is a dog. He's coming for that BMF title, and he's ready for it.
What you got, Goose?
Going Poirier here. I think that the only thing kind of even throwing me off is the elevation here, but I think that Poirier's a better boxer. I think he's a better striker, and he's definitely got a better ground game. The leg kicks from Gaethje, I think they caught him off guard last time. Him being southpaw, it's much easier to check those orthodox kicks. And I just think you get down, put it in a war. DP's putting that hat on, and he's going to war for you. I think he gets a pretty early finish. I'm going to say round 1 or 2 KO.
Yeah, no, I definitely see a world where Gaethje's getting wobbled. I just don't know how it ends after that. But those are the picks. Those are the predictions. Stay tuned for the sheet. We're popping that thing out. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, tell your boys. Let's get it. Those are the picks. We out.